Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Shauna. Let's get into this. Hi, guys. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Shauna. I'm not sure if y'all heard that, because my headphones were connected. Okay. So tonight the topic is about trees. Yes, trees. I know. So I do a lot of walking, right? I'm always out and about, and I noticed that over, I want to say maybe within the last 4 or 5 years, I have, maybe a little longer, I have this attraction to trees, right? Of course, we know about grounding and hugging trees and things like that. And they even have trees that are said to be more spiritual and connected to psychic abilities, like the willow tree, right? There are over 60,000 species of trees. So I know this is crazy. I didn't realize there was so many different types of trees, and I hadn't had a name for this tree until now, which is the willow. Now, why I think this is most important is because for me, I would always look at this tree. Now, remind you, I'm just learning the name today. But in my mind, I will always say those trees look like they used to have rope hanging on them. And it's crazy because on some movies, they have the willow tree. I'm pretty sure it has a lot more of African American history simply because of where those trees can be located. Now there are over 90 species of the willow, with the black willow being the only commercially imported willow. But then you have, all of these different types, and they can be found all from Ontario down to Georgia, all throughout the Midwest, usually found near large bodies of water in moist areas. Now, if you know anything about Canada, you know there's a lot of history there as well, especially as far as the natives go, and a lot of people from Haiti and Jamaica. And again, these are groups that are known to have higher levels of activity evolving spirituality, right? Now, I had no idea trees were used to make medicine. Now, I was aware that plants were used, but I didn't know that they actually used the bark of trees for over 50 different types of medicines. Now, of course, I'm asking the Most High, what's the topic going to be, right? And then he's like, trees. Now, like I said, I walk a lot. I'm walking a lot. I walk through parks on a daily. And because Newark has this really dense history, I think it's really important to kind of just state this. Now let me give you a scenario, right? Before I go into that, I'm going to give you a scenario. Newark has, right, all this really great history. If you're familiar with the area, there's a portion of the park near a bridge. There's actually multiple bridges, but if you pay attention to any of the parks actually that are this big, you would notice how a lot of the things are above the trees, meaning a lot of things were built around the trees. I mean, these trees are gigantic, like really, really high up in the sky and really, really fat at the base, right? Now, remind you, we all know that these trees live for hundreds and hundreds of years and they don't die from old age, right? That's like something everyone knows. And we also know, that it's responsible for collecting the carbon dioxide. It absorbs it, right? It's responsible for cleaning the water. It's home of over 80% of terrestrial biodiversity species, right? These are just some common things we can literally Google, right? But then when you go over to the actual size of this park, now just to give you some perspective, the park that I'm making reference to is it goes through 11 different municipalities, right? And this is a 360 acre park. Now, I didn't want to go into like national parks because I know they have some that are like 13 million acres, but you have some parks like in Anchorage, it's called Chukak State Park. It's 464,000 acres. Now, just, to put some things into perspective of how we feel like our park is so big because it runs through those 11 different municipalities. But when you look at this number like 360 and then compare it to a number like 464, it makes our park look like a penny, right? Now, of course, this particular park I'm making reference to, Branch Brook Park in Newark, is actually home of the country's largest cherry blossom bearer. So in the summertime, we get all these cherry blossoms, and it's beautiful. And I don't want to like spook you guys out or anything, but I just wanted to go into this because when I started doing the research, a lot of questions and concerns started to come into my head. Now, first, if we know that trees are so useful, why do we cut them down? Well, obviously they're being used, right? They're being used for medicine. Chestnut being the most useful, is used for the most, with the rubber being the most common. Like I said, there's over 60,000 types, with the Douglas fir, the spruce, the true fir, the beech, and the maple providing the most oxygen. Now, we know, right? The leaves have these tiny little spores on it called stomats, and these are the pores that are responsible for absorbing the carbon from in the air. Now, get this. I started researching and I'm like, why are they cutting down the trees if we need the trees to have air, if it's cleaning the water, if it's providing medicine? And remember, okay, obviously they need the trees because they're using them. But then I'm like, do we have increased levels of carbon dioxide because we have so many trees being cut down? Now, before you get crazy, we do have a percentage of 21 for oxygen compared to a 0.03 carbon percentage level, right? So we don't want to get carried away. Let's just make sure we have the facts there before we continue, and I don't want to scare anyone. However, we know that carbon dioxide makes it hard to breathe and it can actually become toxic, right? Especially when we are thinking of air quality, pollution, and burning fossil fuels is still the leading cause of it. And it's so crazy because when we think of this, we're like, oh, it's so much oxygen in the air. But really, the atmosphere is 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen. So we still have less oxygen than we might assume, right? Now, if you want to look at the math, I did a little research on carbon dioxide. So around like the industrial, period, that was like around 1760, the levels of carbon dioxide was significantly lower. Now, it was I'm sorry because I'm like reading over my notes. Now, it was 280 parts per million around 1760. Did it increase 11% at 370 parts per million in 2000? Now it's ranging anywhere from 423 to 412 parts per million as of 2022. Now, I remember I did this internship, a summer internship program when I was in college, and there was a doctor who I worked under. I did data entry for him, and I was basically his field assistant. And he had actually crafted this device to test the particles in the air. He was working closely with the Obesity and Asthma Association to try to figure out what were some of the environmental reasons that asthma patients were still having flares outside, right? Now, fast forward to 2023, after 2020, right? After we've had this pandemic, then we come into this new place where everyone is saying they're poisoning us, there's poison. Is this actually just more carbon in the air? Now, it's important to know that by 21, right? 21, the start of the 2100s, the levels of carbon dioxide would have increased by almost 3% within less than 100 years from now. So just to put some things into perspective, and be mindful that the carbon dioxide is increasing the temperature of the atmosphere all around. So this is that global warming thing, right, that we've been hearing about since we could remember. Now, if you compare this actually 50 times more amount of carbon dioxide in the ocean than there is in the atmosphere. So don't get crazy. We're breathing fine and we're okay. But I just wanted to raise this point because I'm not sure if the people are aware. And I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't want to get into any conspiracies or anything like that. I just want to state the facts and use common knowledge and my intuition to muster up something that makes sense. So when I look at the society that we're in, I've been seeing trees get cut down for the last 20 years. I'm over 30, and I remember as a kid even seeing trees get cut down and being upset or just feeling like, oh, like poor tree. And yes, the tree is alive. We know the tree is alive. And it's so crazy because these trees all have special things. I wanted to kind of stick with the willow because what's interesting is that when you drop a twig in soil from the willow, it'll start a tree. You don't have to do anything. So, and this is the tree that is associated with psychic abilities and spirituality. Now, I'm going to stop there. I just wanted to go into this and present the possibility of, maybe what we think about one thing is actually not that. And, I hope all is well. I hope you guys had a really good day. I hope you drink some water, eat some fruit and vegetables, and I hope you are minding your business. Yes, I said it. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please share. And I love y'all. I'm gonna head up out of here. Make sure y'all stay blessed. Love y'all. Peace.